Hey, Stephen from Seattle. Hey, Keel. Hey, lovely. Hey, Donnie. Hey, Phyllis. So welcome to the Sunday night talk. Hey, Anne. Oh, good. You managed to get it done. Awesome. Hey, Paul. So before I start, to say that I do this every Sunday night at 8 o'clock Spanish time. And what else? I do a Wednesday night private group, which is really nice. It's very different from this. We get a chance to speak. So that'll be better. Within a group. What else? On my website, there are my books. And they're available on Amazon and in Kindle and paperback. And also I give one-to-one private sessions where we can go further in to this no subject, into the beautiful reality which is overlooked by stories and the appearance of self. So I do that. And what else? And thank you for the one person who donated last week. You know who you are. One person. Oh, fair enough. But if you'd like to donate, all donations are gratefully received because I don't have adverts on my channel. So donations are really helpful. Sorry, lights are weird. Is there anything else? I'm not going to be doing a webinar this month because I have family coming to visit me. I don't know what day they're coming, so I'm just not doing the webinar, but I'll do it the month after. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. So we call this subject, which isn't a subject, non-duality. But I'm kind of bored of that word, which is a shame because my website's got it in. But I guess it gives everyone an indication what I'm talking about. But really, all I'm talking about is life as it is. Just life as it is. Life as it is what we're all actually looking for. Except for life as it is has no appeal to the seeker. Because there's nothing here that can give the seeker relief or an end. There's no room here for the seeker. The seeker has to be moving in its belief in time. Hi, Joe. It can only move in its belief in time. It's not actually moving, but in the fantasy of moving, it ironically moves away from the natural reality. The natural reality is what is apparently happening. There is nothing else here. Hi, Jim. There's nothing else here. There's nothing here for the seeker. Because the seeker will never, ever be satisfied. Ever. Nothing will satisfy the seeker. The seeking may lessen, but there'll always be something that comes along and provokes the seeker. to say, I haven't found it, I'm not good enough, I'm a mess, I'm this, I'm that. But within this as well, there's nothing can be understood in the words, because it's not the words. It's not the words. There's something else. There's something else that is resonated with. Intellectual understanding of the words is just a seeker ploy. That I'm getting somewhere because I understand the words. Understanding the words is utterly, utterly useless. Everything for the seeker is utterly, utterly useless. It's never going to arrive because it is already everything appearing as seeking. Someone was posting on Facebook today about how people argue with them about non-duality. It's the funniest thing, isn't it? And that's why I don't always accept Facebook requests from people I don't know. Because it's happened in the past where I've said something like, and I said this on the Facebook post on the thread, I'll say something like innocent, like, "Oh, I went to Malaga today," and some non-dualist will say, "Oh, who went to Malaga?" So I don't always accept friend requests on Facebook. It's nothing personal. I just try to keep that to people I actually know, who I've actually spoken to in some form or met. But this, non-duality, you can't argue about non-duality. You can't argue about the nature of reality, though people do. I guess people have been arguing about the nature of reality since forever. The nature of reality is just what is. It's already given. It's already here. I know that's never good enough for the seeker. Because even in saying that, the seeker wants to understand what that is. It wants to understand what that means. It says, I don't understand that. There must be something in it that I'm not understanding. It'll say, I know it's just this because I've heard it a gazillion times, but there's something in it I'm not getting. That feeling that there's something in it I'm not getting is all in the imagination. There's nothing here that is not being got. Somebody suddenly doesn't get something. It's actually the opposite. It's the end of an apparent person. It's the end of that. It's not the gaining of something, it's the losing of something. Something that was a bit crap, actually, because seeking is crap. It's uncomfortable, it's heavy, it's a burden, it's a feeling of insecurity. I'm not there yet. I know that within the non-dual community, sometimes people are kind of competitive about who's not there yet, which is just a joke because there's nobody here anyway. In the human, there is an appearance that I am a person, but that doesn't mean there's a person there. It just means there's an appearance of the person. So I've kind of gone off the word non-duality a bit because it's becoming a little bit of a kind of religion with the right doctrine, the right words, the no one doctrine. where you say something and then you use normal language and someone goes, look, you said, oh God, or something like that. Excuse me. It's so hot here. Oh my God. It's like 38 degrees. Hi, Em. Non-duality can become a doctrine. The words are utterly, utterly pointless. I am communicating in words, but it's not the words themselves, because if you get hold of the words, you've just got hold of a concept. This is about the end of concept. This is about sitting at a table, speaking at a camera. That's it. A friend of mine said the other day, he said it was a real bummer for the me. This is a real letdown for the me. It is a letdown. It's an absolute letdown. That the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow was an illusion. It was a dream. It was a figment of the imagination. It was a learnt thing. All the years of spiritual seeking that many of us have done. This promise of nirvana, this promise of enlightenment. A promise that never leads anywhere. Because it's all in the imagination. It never ever arrives. What I'm talking about is way better than that. It's the end of nirvana. It's the end of enlightenment. It's the end of trying and struggling and wanting and needing for the seeker. Thank God. Then the body could just relax. The body can be natural. It's no more neurotic, emotional blizzard going on and on and on in the story. Emotions arise, sure, but they're nothing. Nothing. Feeling of, it's no different from the feeling of laughter. Nothing sticks anymore. There's no story. It's the end of it, the end of a story. What's left is this, which is all there is, and which is nothing to speak of, because it can't be spoken of. You can't put it in a box of words and make it sound sensible or plausible. No word I use is going to make anything. It's not going to touch it, because it's here. It's here. Joe, is the self reinvented? Reinvented? The self is a misunderstanding in the brain. There's an awareness. As the child gets older, there's an awareness. And that's mistaken for being a person. It's learnt. Well, I don't know if it's learnt or not. I don't know, actually. I don't remember. It's not reinvented. I would say it's invented, but it's not invented by anybody. It's actually this, disguised as not being this. It's disguised. It's life appearing as not being life, being separate from life. And this is life appearing saying, that's a dream. It's the same life. The same life that is appearing as a body with words is the same life as the body hearing words. There's nothing in the words that are heard. There's something else going on that can never be described. As soon as that something going on is noticed, the me will get hold of it, and try and turn it into like, that's it, that's it. No, there's never an it. It never comes. Excuse me. It's hot weather, just makes me... Okay, let's make this a bit bigger so I can actually see it. Hey, lovely. If there is no separation, how do you teach a child boundaries? I mean, if you teach a child that there is no separation, you can say yes and go to strangers. I'm really confused about that. No, you teach the child to be wary of strangers. Sorry, my screens are all funny. You teach the child to be wary of strangers. Of course you would. You wouldn't say, yes, go to strangers. Maybe you'd talk about the wonder of life and how it appears as everything. But you'd also teach that child how to be safe. Like if someone came to me, I've been to India a lot. I know how to deal with India, just about. Someone came to me and said, got any tips on India? I wouldn't say, no tips, because there's no separation, so everything's fine. I would never say that. I would tell them all the things I've learned to keep them safe. And you do the same to a child. You wouldn't say to a child who's running near a cliff, oh, it's fine. There's only oneness. It doesn't matter if you fall over the edge. No. Of course you teach the child to be safe. Children are such sponges. You can teach them rightly. Not scare them, but just teach them. Does that help, lovely? This is more simple than you think. When you're teaching a child, you don't even think about that there is no separation or there is separation. How can you teach a child non-separation? You can't teach a child non-separation. You can only love a child and teach it how to be safe and how to be fulfilled in life as much as possible. Yeah, it's cool, huh? It's just simple. We make this subject too complicated. Get everything that's really complicated, everything that you think that's really complicated and confusing, and turn it the other way up. And that'll be more the case. It's the absolute simplicity of this life. You know, and speakers like me use all these complicated words like nothing and everything. But they're kind of pointless as well. But, you know, they get said, so there you go. But really, it's the simplicity of sitting in a room on your computer or on your phone, whatever it is you're doing. That is it. There is nothing to understand about it. There is nowhere to go with it. It's absolutely that simple and that beautiful. And when that hood of personhood somehow comes off, somehow disappears, everything is fresh. Everything is fresh. Nature becomes more beautiful because it's seen for the first time without the hood of a person. Music is heard in its purest form, just sounds coming out of nothing. They're sounds coming out of nothing. We think they're coming out of the speakers or some sort of magical digital world or LPs or whatever you use. There's sounds coming out of nothing. This table's coming out of nothing. It's nothing appearing as table. It's nothing appearing as sound. It's fresh. Actually, that's really noisy. I'm just going to get a glass. Yeah, so I'm open to questions. If you want to ask questions, I'll put this in a glass so I'm not gurgling my way through the talk. Hi, Saket G. How do you perceive time and space? I don't perceive time and space. There is no perception. There's only what is. And that is free of time and space. There's only what's happening. All time appears in this. All space appears in this. This is all space. This is all time. This is it. I don't perceive anything. Perception happens, but not really. Hey, Paul. I was trying to describe non-duality to my sister a few years ago, and she felt like it would mean she wouldn't love her children. I tried to say, I said, try to not love them, choiceless. Yes. Yes. People get this idea, okay, so there's no one, then I'm going to be devoid of love, I'm going to be devoid of right and wrong, all that. It's going to be, I'm going to go wild, I'm going to go rob banks. No, life carries on, it's normal. Except for there's no neurotic behavior. Yeah. Stephen, empty fullness is void of time and space. Yes. Saket, there is no space in your room right now? Yes, yes, there is space. There is space. But only space if you call it space. Then we get into concepts about space. There is this empty thing, I guess. When there's no separation, the whole thought about space is just utterly irrelevant. Unless you want to get into an intellectual kind of study on it, which is fine, but there's no sort of scientific brain here really. Interest in it, but no real academia. There is no space in the room right now. But you could say it's all space. You know, microscope in the table, there's more space between the molecules than there is molecules. But this is all conceptual ideas. Stephen, it's just that there's everything. Yeah, there's just wonderful, mysterious life appearing. And it's here appearing. And the seeker's trying to understand what that means. I don't know why my camera goes dark sometimes. I turn the brightness up. No, it's full. Sounds so amazing. It's not, Saket, because you're sat in a room, right? Without giving it any concepts or ideas. What is that? It's sat in a room. Without concepts, ideas, and seeking and longing and wanting to understand, there's just sitting in a room. Of course, the seeker is going to come up again because its baseline is seeking. It's just very alive. Yes, it's utterly alive. and not in the way the human thinks something is alive, you know, with a central nervous system or whatever. The nature of reality is completely different to the conceptual nature of reality of the separate person, because a separate person lives in a set of rules dictated to by the times. You know, one day they're going to find that the Big Bang was the wrong theory, and then everyone's idea of how life is will change according to the general thought at the time. There was one time that people thought the Earth was flat. Actually, there are still people that think the Earth is flat. So, you know. But the general consensus is the Earth is round, and it was so many years old, and it came from the Big Bang, which happened so many billions of years ago, or whatever. I don't know the actual days, years. But scientists say something new, and everybody agrees on that. We'll have another story to live by, and everyone will believe that story. Everyone believes the story of time. It believes there's something outside of this called time. It believes that there is actually a tomorrow. It believes it was actually yesterday, and that yesterday kind of exists in some way. It really exists in my belief system. But that's the only place it does exist, is in the belief system of the person. Oh, the song, the illusion of control is awesome. Awesome. It is. It's all inspiring. The idea that there is a separate self is also absolutely awe-inspiring, because it means that life is appearing as being separate, as being dual. What's going on with my screen? If I wave at it. It's the whole appearing as not whole. That is awe-inspiring. The intelligence in that. The intelligence in this. Second, if self is an illusion, why is it so hard to see through it? Because the illusion are trying to see through the illusion. It's an illusion trying to look through the illusion. You can't see through it. The illusion cannot see its own illusion, because the illusion is so complete. There's no way. It's like in a hamster ball. It's running around a hamster ball. There's no way out of it. It's absolutely complete. If it was not complete, it would start falling apart. But it's not the self that looks through the self. What happens is there is a resonance with what is being said. But you can't get hold of that resonance or that recognition. You can't get hold of it because it's not the self that's doing it. It's not the self that is recognizing. It's absolutely impossible to pin down what that recognition is. It's just recognition happening. There's nothing there that can get hold of that. The self will try to make a story of that recognition and try and own it. That recognition can just happen. It can happen anywhere. It can't, not just here. It can happen in anywhere, anytime, to any human, in any circumstance. And the sun, because without it, I would have no idea what's going on here, because where there would be no center of story. Sorry, I'm just having to look back to what you're referring to. My memory is so short. Oh man. Yeah, well, the story of control is, you know, the person's main anchor in its story. Control is an anchor story. It needs that in order to feel alive. It wants to control everything. It thinks it has control. But when there's no story or center, it doesn't matter anymore. The control and the person are intrinsically linked. The person has to have control. When there's no person, there's no control, and there's no center, and it doesn't matter. Whole thing. No story, no center, nothing. And in some cases, no sense of location. But it doesn't matter. Because there's nothing there to care about that. But it can struggle when it's falling away. There can be a struggle with that. When it's coming in and out, you know, the meing and being. When that's happening, there can be a real struggle, and it can be really hard. But when it's not there anymore, it's just not there. Hi SS. Is it that the brain finds it difficult because it always lives in duality? Yes. Well, the me lives in duality, and the me has me thoughts. The me can only live in duality. It is duality. It's the wholeness appearing as duality. And the brain, the mind, will never ever understand that. Never ever understand what I'm talking about. When I meet people who are no longer a self, there's nothing to say to each other. There's nothing to talk about. There's no need to talk about this anymore. People say to me, what do you do in your life? How do you do your life? I said, well, no, nobody's doing this life. I don't have a life. Everything is life. It's not my life. Lisa's a part of life. She's just one of parts of life. It's just life. I don't think about this in my day-to-day life. I only not even think about it. It only occurs when it happens like this. Or if I'm talking on Skype with somebody. Or if I'm inspired to write something occasionally. Otherwise, it's just life being lived, but it's not being lived by someone. And that's impossible for the brain to get. Because the brain lives, the seeker lives in getting. Got to get it. It's difficult to get. It's difficult to get because it's impossible to get. It's never going to be got. It's already here. And you're never going to understand that. It's the end of understanding. It's ungetting. Stephen, the contraction is so thin, it's actually just what is. Yeah. Yes, well, the sense of self is this. The sense of the contraction is this. And although this is saying it's illusory, it's illusory. And that is wonderful, beautiful. Sakit. What are your thoughts on psychedelics like DMT that induce ego death? I don't have any thoughts on those things. I'm not interested in them. I know people who have been into them and they may have experienced ego death, as if you can experience ego death. How can you experience something that's dead? Because it's dead. You can't experience the dead thing. Anyway, and when they weren't on psychedelics, they had problems with their ego. So I don't know. I don't care about all that stuff. No interest here. Ella, is it truth in Lisa's words? Truth? Is it truth in Lisa's words? I don't know what you mean. I don't recognize truth. Is it truth? Can you explain that a little more, Ella? Oh, son, this is some pretty crazy shit we're talking about here. What would a psychologist think of this? Yeah, but turn it around the other way, right? This seems really radical and crazy. But what's more crazy is wholeness appearing as humans thinking it's not whole. We turn that around, the other is a bit insane. A psychologist would think of this, it's a bit crazy because they live in that paradigm. When I think back to Lisa, who thought she was this, lost soul and all the rest of it. That's crazy. That's crazy. That was like insanity. Running around in the head, constantly running around in the head, trying to work it out, trying to get it together, trying to keep everything together all the time. Absolutely neurotic. In my early 20s, I was an absolute emotional car crash. Not so much in my 30s. I'm really not much in my 40s. But I remember that. That's insanity. To think that this body had this dream going on, running around like a lunatic, but never actually getting anywhere or never actually going anywhere. This isn't going anywhere. So this idea that it's going anywhere is the madness. But it's the normality. Other son, I see that I think. I see that I think. So the person is thinking that it sees itself thinking. Is that what you mean? Without the seeing of I am thinking, there is just thinking. There is just water. I see I am drinking is. Oh, you understand. Okay. Yeah. Right. Joe, like a dog chasing its own tail. Yeah, endlessly. That's all it can do. Is fear of missing out an illusion? Well, it's part of the story of the person. I'm missing out. Who's missing out? These are just thoughts. I'm missing out. I, who is a psychological, emotional appearance, I am saying that I'm missing out. It's part of the insecurity of the person. Everything is accurate, right? And when we never miss a thing. Lately I feel that a bunch of people socializing is more a me thing. It can be, yeah. It can be. I can socialize for about an hour. I'm done. Done. Enjoyable hour, but after that, socializing is okay. It depends on the character, you know? It depends on the character. There isn't one rule for everybody. I'm just a bit of a hermit. Says, yeah, thoughts just happen for no one. Yes, exactly, says Lonnie. Yes, well, from here, there's nothing to miss out on. It would just be a belief. I'm missing out on something. There's nothing going on. Everything you ever wanted is right here. Because this is all there is. It's been given all the time. I want to know what Ella meant. Is it truth in Lisa's words? I actually have no idea what that means. Truth. There is no truth. There's just Lisa sat on a chair, tweeting. Tweet, 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 tweet. I'm not giving anything. I'm not trying to tell anybody anything. There's no reason for me to be here. Just here. This is what's happening. Ella, this appearing as me, or talking about non-duality, is one and the same thing. This appearing as me, or talking about truth is just for the mind. Yeah, truth is a, what's truth? I mean, it's just a concept, isn't it? It's a concept. This appearing as me, or talking about non-duality, is one and the same thing. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. To me, there are no me's. There's no me's here. There's just life. When I'm sat in a room full of people, I don't think I'm sat in a room full of me's. Though when I meet somebody who's coming very much from that energy, in a very competitive, controlling energy, there will be a withdrawal. There'll be a backing away because it's not enjoyable. But there's not something here that thinks there's a group of me's and I'm not here, but they're there. There's no person here, but there's someone there. There's none of that goes on. There's just what there is happening. There's no recognition of there being separate people. But I know when a human is coming from that energy, though. When it's obvious. Lovely. With each talk lately, I feel I really understand what you were saying. I hope it is not me. Well, maybe there's like a recognition. It kind of relaxes the body a bit. That's what normally seems to happen. It's just like, it's kind of a relief somehow. It kind of takes the pressure off. Well, there is no me there, lovely. So it's never you. I have a feeling that you don't understand it intellectually. I have a feeling that you're saying that it's recognition. Yes, a recognition. Yeah. Joe. Struth. Love that word, struth. Excuse me. I have sinus issues. If anyone's noticed. Such is life. Other son. I think one of the most fascinating things is the idea that we think what we do now determines how, when, or where our future corpse ends up. Well, we'll never know that, will we? Yeah. Nothing is going to determine anything. There's nothing determined. Nothing's ever going to come. The appearance makes it seem so. And that is a beautiful paradox and a wild, crazy thing, which I love. But nothing is determined because nobody's moving anywhere. Have you ever noticed that it's never been anything but this? So this whole life is spent trying to control where our corpse ends up. Do you think so? I think the whole life is spent when there's the person pretending to run the show is where it's going to come to its completion, when it's going to find that endless, that end called fulfillment, where I'm finally fulfilled. That's what the self wants. It wants to be finally fulfilled. Or it wants to finally be somebody important, somebody successful, somebody happy, somebody who's peaceful. It always wants to be somebody who is something. And it's always looking for that final relief of when I've got there. That's what it spends its whole life doing. And then it ends up a corpse. Well, the body ends up a corpse. Hello, could you say that non-duality is a true concept? No! Definitely not. Yet is the reality. There is no non-duality. There's just sitting in a room speaking. And that cannot be conceptualized. And there's just sitting in a room listening or typing or whatever is going on. That cannot be conceptualized because it's already happening. It can't, it's not even beyond the speed of light. There's no words, but you know what I'm trying to say. Some of you might feel what I'm trying to say. There is no non-duality. This is not a teaching. This is not a set of rules that one has to adhere to in order to get somewhere. This is absolute freedom. This is freedom beyond the person, beyond concepts. It's life as it is. The nature of reality is freedom. The nature of reality is freedom appearing as I'm not free. It's all the one reality. A person wants relief from its neuroses, its insecurities, its feeling of, I'm not home, I'm not home. It is home. But there's no truth. There's no truth. Truth would be an overlay of the human mind. Sometimes I just want to ditch the word non-duality. Ditch it. Non-duality, what does it even mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's all got messed up, that word. It's now kind of an annoying word, if anything. It's become a dogma. Another trap. Another set of rules. Stephen, the self has no solidity. If the self has no solidity, it cannot be real or known. In order for something to be known, there would have to be distance to it, like a chair. The self does not exist. But it appears. It's not a thing. It's not separate. It has no solidity. But then again, neither does love, right? It has no solidity. Try finding love, When you're in love, it's just love, isn't it? Love. Self is love too. Is love appearing as separation? Love appears as in love. It appears as irritation. It appears as trees. There is no distance with anything. No, the self does not exist as a self, but it does appear in the human. It appears as thoughts, feelings, contraction. It's what is, plain and simple. It is. It is. And so is the appearance of self, is also what is. It's still this. Listen. Is Lisa appearing as crazy, or is crazy appearing as Lisa? Both! I would stand up absolutely insane, like, I always spoke like this to my family when they come to see me this week. I just wouldn't. Because to the conditioned mind, which lives in a very strict set of rules about how life is. Life begins at birth, goes through, dies, and all this in between is all real. All real. And the human learns that this is real. This whole life is real. So when I talk about the actual nature of reality, which can't be known because it's just this, that is just appears crazy to the very deeply grained and insidious cognitive dissonance that the person appearing in a human believes to be the truth. Being born, living, getting old, dying, this whole process is a reality to the person. So to that person, this message would appear as insanity. Ella, my mind appears to run for the truth often. Now I realize I don't know what truth is. What a hell of a joke is this, lol. I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, says other son. The mind is always looking for truth. I've got to get to the crux of it. I've got to nail it down. It's got to be something concrete that I can get. I've got to be able to box it up. I've got to be able to interpret it. I've got to be able to put it in words. I've got to be able to have a valid argument for everything involved in it. But there is no truth. You can't pack it. Truth is a package. Ella, I have no idea what the hell I've been seeking all along. What the fuck? Oh, brilliant. Yeah, exactly. The big T in the sky. Truth. I feel so betrayed. Where is the treasure? The treasure was an oasis, Ella. It was a mirage, sorry, not an oasis. It was a mirage. You kept running towards it, believing it was there. It was never there. It's always just out of reach. Always just out of reach. Truth is a mirage. It doesn't exist. Oh my God. Ella's having a moment. Oh, love it, love it. It's great, isn't it, when that happens? It says, there's no completion for the person, it's always this. No, but the person lives in always wanting completion. That's its motor, that's its engine. Seeking is the engine of the person. I'm separate, I must seek. It'll keep me going, it'll keep me going. Especially for the pot of gold. The shinies, where's the shinies? The golden ray of God. The peace, the bliss, the truth. It's never there. There's nothing there. There's no there. Second, does no self have willpower? Because the apparent seems to have one. How does no self quit smoking? Does no self have willpower? There is no self. When there's no self, there's no self. Nothing's gone. There is no self. There's no sort of there's no someone here who's a no self. Willpower? No, willpower is illusory. How does no self? You mean a human being? How does a human being quit smoking? There is no self. There's just human beings. How do they quit smoking? I don't know. A myriad ways. Get a nicotine patch. Go to the doctor. Go to I don't know. Do what everyone else does. The human is exactly the same. when there's no story running. There's just no story running. It says somehow it's a sad story, but it will never get it. I know, it's so disappointing, but so expanding as well. It's like, oh my God, what a bummer, but it's kind of funny and mind-blowing and amazing. It's an amazing revelation. It can also be really painful. It can be despair, but it can be just amusement as well. It could be any kind of reaction to that. Be sad, maybe. I thought it was amusing. It amused me. But there you go, that's my character. Another sun. I think the problem with the idea of truth or discovering it is that our society conditions to think that truth is based on what the majority believes is truth. If not the majority, then it's dismissed. Yeah, well, you know. Was it Aristotle who said, God help us from the populace? No, God save us from the populace. Something like that. Doesn't matter what the majority believes. Who cares? It's just a story. The majority is a story. Like the news. People believe the news. People watch the news. Jeez. Whatever floats your boat, you know, people have great interest in politics. You know, that's cool. In fact, there's someone here who I only get my politics from on Facebook. He's like my political commentator. You know who you are. This message is not majority or minority. Happening. This is life happening. This woman sitting here in 36-degree heat, speaking, is what is happening. That is it. And then when I turn this off in a bit, you'll probably go and make a cup of tea or put the telly on or read a book or whatever. That is it. That is it. It's never going to be anything but what is happening. Stephen, when there's only this, there can still be smoking, drinking, some of which can be neurotic. That can fall away at some time. Yeah. Sure, the human does what the human does. Doesn't matter. Unless it matters. Then the human can do something about it. This message is it's not about not doing things or doing things. It's not about any of that. Whatever the human does is just what's happening. Oh, the sun, so that makes it crazy, lol. Yeah. It says, the mind always thinks of something else, but it's always this. Yes, it's always thinking of something else. It's very busy. Nothing wrong with a busy mind. The only problem is when it's like always about self, me, my difficulties, my problems, my suffering, my seeking, my not good enough. All these me stories. What a burden. Okay, guys, any last things before I go? Oh, thank you, Donnie. I'll see some of you on Wednesday. Thanks, Paul. I hope everyone has a wonderful week and hopefully see you back here next Sunday. Joe. Oh, thank you, lovely. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And lots of love. Bye.